and then ascend from there. This is a bigger block as compared to that one. This one's a lot stronger. This one we've used quite a bit, rigging out big pine tree logs over trailers, over roofs, over waterways. We use this quite a bit because unfortunately trees get planted in bad places and it becomes a big problem, and we have to be really careful not to break anything or damage anybody's property or home. So we use that a lot. These are rigging lines as well. These we use for speed lines. We'll establish a rigging line down to the ground, or at some point throughout the landscape where we're working, we'll wrap this end around the branch, and a lot of times it'll just go back to itself, or however, and we will, this part here will get attached to the line itself, and as the climber makes his cut, it just goes right, the limb just goes right down the line, right to where we want it to go. And the climber will take all these and do one whole tree with it. And when we get to do this, this is really fun, but a lot of times because of these small properties, we don't get to utilize this as much as I'd like. This is also another type of ascender. This is a mechanical prusik called the zigzag. That's actually what our climber's using today. I have one, he has one, and the rope will come through here. This side will get attached to the harness, and then this side will be attached to the rope with the knot. This is the type of harness that we use. Typically it has a leg strap-in point, two leg strap-ins, enough attachments for our gear, for us to carry our gear, eye to eyes. This is a chainsaw tag, just to, this attaches to a chainsaw, so if something happens and we can let go of the chainsaw and it won't hit the ground. This is a bridge. This part of the climbing harness is probably one of the, I mean, it's all important, but this is one of the most essential parts of the climbing. I put this on because it can be more versatile to attach so many different ascenders or different knots or whatever. It's just so multi-versatile, and this is just a component. It's a swivel. It can be used in conjunction with other swivels. This just enables the climber to get around and allow the rope more freedom. You can twist and turn when you're up there instead of getting your line all tangled up into a big ball of spaghetti. That's something that we try to avoid. In conjunction with the zigzag, it works really well because the zigzag also has a swivel. So when we have a double swivel, for me, I personally like it. Every climber is different, but it makes me feel really comfortable, and it's easier for me to move around. These are our hand saws. We always use, it's a Japanese company called Silky. It's the only Japanese product that we use. Pound for pound, they're probably the best hand saw on the market, and we keep them pretty well stocked. Each climber goes through one of these, using them every day, probably like one every 4 months, unless they get broke. But so far we've never had any really break. Sometimes the tips will break, but the saw will still be good. Pound for pound, they're the best product on the market for what we do. That's about it.
Really cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, in the course of your day, what kind of gear do you use?
So it all kind of depends on the job, and every job is different. So on big removals that are over homes where we don't want to damage the roof or any property, we use different rigs. This is what we wrap around the tree trunk and utilize with a rigging line up through this component here. This part goes around the tree, wraps around. It's very thick. It's about a 1 inch line here, braided, strong enough to allow us to rope down segments of the tree that are very heavy, in the order of like 500-600 pounds. This enables one man to be able to control that weight and lower it all the way down to the ground by himself. This is a smaller type of mechanism that's sort of the same in the sense that it's called a block. This gets taken up into the tree. A rigging line that is attached to the limbs that we're removing on one side comes up through here, and the men on the ground manage that limb just like I've been doing today. And this wraps around an anchor limb that we use that will be strong enough to support the weight and the shock load of the limb as it is being cut away from the tree. The shock load is the part of the energy that is produced when the limb breaks free from the tree when we cut it, and that amount of energy is transferred up through here and onto the rope, and this has to be strong enough to support the stopping of that limb before it hits the ground or before it hits a roof or any potential target. These are all measured in kilonewtons for their rated energy load. So this load is 80 kilonewtons from the top here. This part can handle 80 kilonewtons, and each side of this rope would be 40 kilonewtons. This is a sunder. We put this onto our climbing line, and it helps the climber ascend the tree very easily. This is used in conjunction with this piece of equipment, which is a knee ascender. So this would go underneath the climber's foot, and this would be attached to the climbing line through here. Climbing line would go right into this, and this gets attached to, if the climber has a chest harness, it would be attached to that or to his belt, and it would literally make the climber have the ability to walk right up the tree, walk right up the rope into the tree canopy. Wow. Yeah, it's pretty cool. All these are basically similar climbing mechanisms. This is something similar. It's just a different way of rigging a climbing line. This is an eye-to-eye prusik. Well, it can be tied as an eye-to-eye prusik. It's an eye-to-eye rope. A prusik is a knot. And there's many other different types of knots that we can use with this, climbing knots. This is a hand ascender. So this would go above the climber on the rope and it would attach here, and it would enable the climber to use his upper body strength in addition to his walking up the rope to ascend the tree. In Florida, we have a lot of smaller trees, that relatively smaller as compared to like up north in Washington State and Michigan. And all those trees up there, some of the first branches of the tree are like 40, 50 feet in the air. Down here in Florida, we're able to, use a ladder, get up into the tree, set our lines, and then take the ladder away because it's just a problem. But in a lot of cases where we don't bring ladders, we just do everything the way northern climbers do. And we utilize a sandbag throw line. So these are two different weighted sandbags. One's 12 ounce, I think this one's 16 ounce. And we just hurl these into the tree where we would like to set our climbing line. When this comes down, on the other side we attach the rope, and then we pull this side up through the tree along with the rope that we're going to use as our lifeline or climbing line, and then we attach our climbing gear to it. So whether it's the eye-to-eye and a prusik with a sender, or any kind of climbing device, we'll attach that to the rope. I got to get back out here though. I got to see where he's at.